Good afternoon. Welcome to the City Club Forum. I'm Nelson Weiss, President of the City Club of Cleveland. We're pleased to have you all here with us again today. Today our forum speaker is Mr. George M. James, Executive Director of the Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority, CMHA. Mr. James was appointed Executive Director in November of 1982. He assumed his present position on January 3 of 1983. He's making his first major address to a Cleveland audience before our City Club today. Mr. James has been directly involved in the areas of housing and community development for the past 25 years, both in the private and in the public sectors, and particularly in the area of low-income housing programs. Before coming to Cleveland, he was manager of Cabrini Green in Chicago and executive director of the Los Angeles County Housing Authority. Mr. James earned his undergraduate degree in industrial psychology from Roosevelt University in Chicago, his master's degree in management from Claremont Executive Management School in Claremont, California, and he's presently a PhD candidate in government at Claremont Graduate School. As Executive Director of CMHA, Mr. James serves as Secretary to the Board of County Commissioners and represents the Board and the Housing Authority at meetings of various levels of federal, state, county, and municipal governments. We're pleased to add our club's welcome to that of our community to Mr. James, and we look forward to his presentation to us today. He speaks to us on the subject, CMHA's Program for Progress. Mr. James.
Thank you very much, President Nelson. I would like to begin by just making a few corrections. I don't serve as secretary to the county commissioners, and it's a independent board appointed by, in part by the county commissioners. Another correction I'd like to make is that, because there may be some people in California, I was executive director of the Los Angeles County Housing Authority. That's problem enough. But if you know anything about the Los Angeles City Housing Authority, you would really have to appreciate what I'm saying. First of all, let me say that I'm very pleased to be at the forum this afternoon. I was reading an article in the paper this morning, brought to my attention by someone who called and said, did you happen to see the Plain Dealer this morning? It's certainly timely, because I was half of the subject of the article. Now, I think that in general, the press in the Cleveland area has treated me very well. But on occasion, they say a few things that cause me to wonder and to be concerned. Now, I have yet to meet Dr. Holliday, who, according to the article, is a very charismatic person. And I was to take a second to that. Now, I don't object to that, really, because as yet I've yet to meet the man. But I have one thing that the good doctor doesn't have. I'm the third George in town. I'd like to begin by expressing how honored I am to be invited to speak before this distinguished assembly. At the same time, I feel I should convey, on behalf of the board and the staff of CMHA, its appreciation for the expression of faith you have bestowed upon them by this invitation. They too have reason to be proud in your expression of faith. The family of CMHA shall work unceasingly to live up to your expectations. CMHA has been considered a troubled agency. That may be an understatement. And the media has reported this fact in many forms over the past few months, and I understand in the past few years. It's no secret to any viewer who passes one of our states that we have a lot of work to do. The structures and the grounds of our estates have presented a vivid image for the need for improvement. And of course, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, then we have reaped a lot of dividends from the media in terms of our image in the city of Cleveland. Speaking of images, if you'll just allow me a digression, when I was with the Chicago Housing Authority, and some of you may be familiar with that agency, it's the second largest housing authority in the nation, with over 45,000 units of low-income housing. And we had some problems there too. And I recall the then executive director must have been as concerned as I am about the image of the agency, and he wanted to do something about it. We had one housing development that is called the Robert Taylor Homes. Now, the Robert Taylor Homes is, I guess the best way you can describe it is that it's a monstrosity. It's perhaps the largest housing authority in the country, with over 4,000 units of public housing, stretched out along the Dan Ryan Freeway in Chicago for several miles. And any person can just seem like they're riding all day in the midst of public housing. Well, to make a long story short, the director gathered up all of his managers one evening and took us to dinner, which meant that he was serious about what he was doing. And he fed us, and he decided that we were going to brainstorm that evening about changing the image of public housing, and particularly the image of Robert Taylor Homes. And he said, okay, fellas, you are to come up with some ideas on how to change the image from a negative to a positive. And I'm going to go around the table. I'm going to ask each one of you to give me your idea. This is called brainstorming. And around the table we went. I happened to be sitting on the end, and some people said, well, let's take it and decorate it, put different colors on the buildings. Let's partition it off and separate it, and all sorts of suggestions. And I listened, and being a man on the move and a man who believed himself to be very creative, I said, I've got to come up with something really unique. And I was supposed to be a very creative guy. And I guess you do get creative after 2 after-dinner drinks. So when they got around to me, they asked me, James, what do you think? I said, well, perhaps the best way to start is by changing the name from Robert Taylor to Elizabeth. Well, that didn't go very well, but anyway, it was creative. My purpose here this afternoon is to share with you CMHA's progress report after almost 2 months, and to invite your support and to encourage your participation. if we are to serve the more than 25,000 people living in public housing residence in the Cleveland area, we will certainly need your support. CMHA is mandated by law to provide safe, decent, sanitary housing to people of low and moderate income in the Cuyahoga County. We have an equal responsibility to the community at large, and that is to provide this program in an effective and cost-saving way. We must maintain our properties and provide efficient, safe management to the program. Unfortunately, most people have a poor view of low-income housing. And equally unfortunately is that that view is well-deserved. Our challenge is to change this and to do so positively and as rapidly as possible. There are a few things you should understand about public housing before I proceed. Public housing is a federally supported program under the aegis of the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Although public housing has been around for 45 years, HUD is relatively a new cabinet post, which was created under the Johnson administration. In that time, there have been many changes, as many, of course, as there have been administrations. However, the basic commitment of Congress still remains, and that is to provide decent, affordable housing to low-income families. In the state, enabling legislation is passed to permit housing authorities to be formed to carry out that function in the local area. In this county, of course, CMHA was established to administer the low-income public housing program. CMHA has a board consisting of 5 members who make policy. And I know that there's been a lot of excitement about the 5 members who make policy in this county. However, it is the responsibility of the board to make the policy, and it's the responsibility of the executive director to carry out that policy. And although recently the way the members are appointed to the board has been changed, the number still remains at 5 members on the board. Since we receive most of our funds from the federal sources, we must follow the regulations promulgated by these federal agencies. And I needn't tell you that that is many. It represents a number of regulations that we must respond to. Most large communities have some form of a public housing program. This is true with the city of Cleveland. There are a number of communities, of course, who have no programs to be administered to their low-income families. This is unfortunate. I was very delighted, and I must say it was somewhat unexpected to find that the interest of the program in the Cleveland area. I was very pleased. CMHA is a very dynamically constructed agency involving our residents, HUD, the city, as well as some of the suburban areas. Since this is a thinking man's community, it follows that everyone would have their own ideas concerning what we should be doing. And as you can imagine, that makes the job a little exciting. However, if we are to meet our goals, it's it is imperative that we receive the support of the community. Without that support, we shall fail. In my judgment, the success of our program involves a plan, proper staffing, a workable program, and a constructive administration, and the community support. We must develop a plan that is dynamic and includes positive change. It must spell out to the residents as well as to the community that CMHA means business in making changes. It must provide that direction towards cleaning up the appearance of the estates and restoring the dignity of living in CMHA. It must do this, and it must be able to do it rapidly. We've instituted such a plan as we are proposing to rehabilitate one of our oldest estates, the Cedar Estates. We have launched initially a cleanup program of that area. That's begun already. We're meeting with the residents of the community to enlist their help, and we've started meeting with the surrounding community to have them join us. Obviously, the city is a key partner in this venture, and they too have joined in this effort. Of course, the people who are going to pay for all this are important too, and that's HUD. And HUD has been very interested and has shown a very keen commitment to helping us to rehabilitate the Cedar Estates. As a matter of fact, I'd like to digress for just a minute and mention that the newly appointed office director happens to be here this afternoon, Mr. Scanlon, and I told him that I have him at a disadvantage, inasmuch as we've applied for funds at HUD in the amount of $15 million. I told Mike that I was going to tell the city of Cleveland that HUD has already given it to us, and he can't deny it, because we won't give him the microphones at equal time. Nevertheless, they have at least told us that we are eligible for this money, and they've encouraged us to apply for it. And that we have done. Let me get back to my subject again, and that has to do with the other areas that I talked about in reference to improving CMHA, and that is proper staffing. We must have proper staff to conduct the business of CMHA. We've found that there's a great need for leadership at CMHA, and we're taking steps to correct that. We must locate the leadership and to develop staff potential to provide the services needed to sustain our rehabilitation efforts. Staff must be trained, able and willing to carry out the overall goals of the agency and to improve the conditions that exist within our estates. This, of course, includes the physical conditions as well as the living conditions of the residents there. We must be able to employ staff who are both technically competent and creatively willing to get a job done. Added to that, we must have constructive administration. The concept of constructive administration is basically simple. We must design procedures to be helpful to persons performing their job functions. Simply stated, it means that we help people to get the job done. We give the directions to them. We let them know where we're going so that they will understand, and we preach that message constantly. It means that we try to reduce as much as possible unnecessary bureaucracy and to establish positive congruence. Positive congruence is a management term. Simply interpreted means that we give people the authority and the responsibility to carry out their tasks. And then we hold them accountable. All of this must be coupled with a workable program. And of course, all of this would be meaningless if we didn't have a workable program. Workable programs don't just happen. Workable programs are developed through planning and hard work. They must be tested for their workability. They must be designed so that they can be accomplished. In the absence of a workable program, we are likely to be a collected group of people who react to crisis situations. And of course, in the setting as we work in, there are constantly crisis situations. All too often, this is proven to be non-productive and unconstructive because we end up with people who do nothing but wait for the next crisis. This becomes an expensive situation and leads to misdirections and efforts and has an extremely high associated cost. Of course, the cost adds to the problems of the community and adds to the problems nationally. Finally, for all of this to be effective, we must have support. We must have the support of our board. We must have the support of our residents. And of course, we must have the community support. It's really no understatement to say that without your support, that is the community support, we're going to be unsuccessful. And I may as well pack my bags and leave the community. I've been on the trail of soliciting support for the things that we're doing, and I will continue to do so. It's not enough, again, for us just to build housing for low-income families. That's only part of the equation. That's only part of the problem. We need supportive services to our residents so that they can emerge out of the situation that they're presently in and be constructive citizens of the community. When you consider the profile of our residents, it's understandable that the conditions are such as they are. Recently, a local television station spent the entire week filming scenes around our estates. Not once was there any suggestion of our recommendation of what could be done to improve the situation. I think that just to show the situation as it exists is it's worse than unfair, because we know that there are problems in this area. And to to show it in that sense is not constructive at all. We need solutions to problems, and we need support to get those solutions to a reality. I would like to see a week of programs talking about what we can do to solve the problems of CMHA rather than to just show the problems of CMHA. I've mentioned that there are things happening at CMHA for improvement. And if you'll permit me to use a page out of one of our more prominent citizens in the United States, when he pauses and says that he received a letter from somebody saying some things about something. We received a letter just this morning from someone in the Cleveland area who said that they were very pleased to see our places are being cleaned up and to keep up the good work. You have no idea how much this means to the staff to hear this kind of a report. While that didn't negate the whole week of television last week, it did say that somebody out there notices what you're doing. And we need that kind of support from the community. I've concentrated on talking about one particular estate. Of course, there are some 16 or 17 others that need help too. But the reason why the Cedar estate has become the focus of our attention is because we intend to make it a model of improvement. We intend to see that Cedar is so improved that people will want to come to live there and be proud of where they are living. It is our intention to restore the dignity that once was old Cedar. It is our intention to have Cedar regarded in the prominence among the historical sites of the city of Cleveland. It is our intention to restore the pride in the residents who reside at the Cedar Estates. Most importantly, it is our intention to sustain these efforts through sound, effective management. As I stated earlier, our board has authorized the staff to apply for funds to rehabilitate the Cedar Estates. We've done that. I'm pleased to announce to this audience that we've received notice that our preliminary application meets all the requirements for the initial processing stage of the 1983 Comprehensive Improvement Assistance Program. Further, in the HUD transmittal, we are informed that we will proceed to the next step, which is a joint review involving HUD and CMHA in early April. There are some conditions to be met yet, and we intend to do so. I have only this morning had breakfast with the leading architect in this city of Cleveland to engage his services in helping us to design and to design for the rehabilitation of the Cedar Estates. And I'm hoping to be able to include him on our staff very shortly. So, Mike, we will come through with our part, and we'll be ready by April, and hope that you'll be ready by September to give us the money. We have, as I've stated earlier, done some bold things at CMHA, and I think the one that is most interesting to me is the establishment of the management office at the Cedar Estates. We've employed the matrix management approach to that operation, and we know it's going to be effective. We have an enthusiastic group of people there, and who spend many, many hours working and meeting with the residents, and we're going to change things around, believe me. And I think that when you, for those of you who are in this area, and when you go past the seat of the states very shortly, you won't recognize the place because it'll be a different place. It'll be beautiful. As simple as that. It'll be beautiful. I'm sure that at this time you must be pondering over the thoughts that, gee, that's a pretty good idea to clean up the CMHA. Perhaps it's certainly an idea whose time has come. And you might even ask, what can I do to help? And I might respond, I thought you'd never ask. The fact is, you've already helped. You've given me this opportunity to talk before this distinguished audience this afternoon. And I think that just the invitation is a reaffirmation of the faith that something can be done at CMHA. I welcome that challenge, and we're going to prove you right. Some of the other things that you can do, as I stated earlier, and I continue to repeat, is to help us provide the supportive services that are needed so necessarily to reach our goal. You can do this very simply by letting your elected representatives know that this program shouldn't be cut any further. The truth of the matter is, if we don't do something for the cedars of the United States, we're going to find ourselves back into the areas of the 1960s again, when all of this modernization program began. For the record, most of the problems that occurred in the cities in the 60s emerged from or around public housing development. We can't let that happen again. The fact of the matter is, we need a program to improve the cedars of America. That is the moral equivalent of the Marshall Plan. And we really can't wait much longer. If you sense a sense of urgency, you are correct. That is why you will be seeing me and members of my staff throughout the Cleveland community trying to talk to someone to enlist their help in our program to improve CMHA. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. James. Today at the City Club, we're listening to Mr. George M. James, the new director of the Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority. In just a moment, we'll turn to our question period for Mr. James, but first, a few announcements. From time to time, you've heard me mention from this podium our City Club Forum Foundation and the need to have you support it with your tax-deductible donations. We do appreciate your support in this and encourage you to continue sending in your contributions. This helps us maintain the high quality of our forum series week after week, the year round, such as that which we've heard today. Today, however, a special announcement relating to the Forum Foundation. The annual meeting of the Forum Foundation will be held right after our forum here today in our main dining room with Peter DeLeon, president of the foundation, presiding. There'll be reports made, elections held, and other business to be transacted. We invite you to stay if you can for this annual business meeting of our foundation, a brief but important meeting. Today, as always, we have students with us who are participating in our Living Seminars program, which we sponsor in cooperation with the Cleveland Public Schools and Cuyahoga Community College. Right now, we have with us students from the following high schools: Max S. Hayes, Chagrin Falls, and Euclid. Will they stand, please, to receive our welcome? Thank you. They will be meeting with Mr. James for their own seminar right after our forum here. Next week, as an important follow-up to this week's forum, we'll present as our speaker the Secretary of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, the Honorable Samuel R. Pierce, Jr. Secretary Pierce will speak on the subject, Cleveland and HUD, a venture in partnership. Sounds good. Be sure to make your reservations early for this important address. Now for our questions for Mr. James. We have 2 microphones, one in front with Alan Davis, one in the rear with Bob Cavano. Raise your hand, please, to be recognized. We'll go to our first question. Mr. James.
I would appreciate your comments on public housing for the elderly.
It's housing for older people. Now, it's perhaps the most desirable housing from the standpoint of the community, and it's perhaps the most sought-after public housing program because it's the less offensive. However, as you know, there's the other side. As a matter of fact, there's perhaps been more public housing developed in the past few years than ever, because of the fact that it is less offensive to the community. I think that there is still a need for public housing, elderly housing, as well as the regular family housing. But because it's less offensive, it's certainly more acceptable to the community.
Mr. James, first of all, let me commend you on your courage in choosing Cedar Central as a target. You've talked to us in very general terms about more effective management, about cleaning up. I'm interested more in nuts and bolts, in specifics. What is more effective management, and how does that affect people that live at CMHA?
Simply stated, more effective management is holding those who are providing the management more accountable to getting the job done. That means that we must provide a service without excuse. That means that we must provide the service in an orderly way and in an effective way. That means that we've got to get the job done, that we can't sit on our haunches anymore and make excuses. More effective management means that we've got to deliver a service and effectively.
Mr. James, congratulations upon coming here. I know that you have a tough job. Many of us have tried to work to support what you've done for many years in this community. Some of us have been downhearted to see new buildings go up and within months see that they have not been sustained in the maintenance or in the living environment of the way they look, and therefore they deteriorate for the very people who really want to live there safely and decently. What kinds of programs have you seen that are effective in encouraging people to have pride in their living environment, to be willing to perhaps, as unfortunately some suburban communities are doing, to have watches on their streets and cooperate in keeping their neighborhoods safe, in watching out for each other's children, in classes to improve standards of maintenance or teach home repairs. I think that you've got the general drift of what I'm saying, that we're dealing with human beings. We can't regulate human beings, and yet here you're trying to provide them new, safe, clean services, but there has to be a lot of cooperation, and I think that there probably needs to be some some incentives, but also some teeth in these programs. Could you perhaps tell us more about those specifics?
Well, it's been my experience that in order to get people to respond, you must be able to first establish a dialogue with them. I don't know that we had that at CMHA. Secondly, after you've established the dialogue, you must establish some agreements. I don't think we had that at CMHA. What I mean by that is that all relationships are conditional. The people who live in CMHA, as well as the citizens of this community in any place, live there under certain conditions. And those conditions are that you keep the place in order. There's a standard. You explain those standards to people so that there's an understanding to begin with. Okay. In other words, you make the relationship, the condition, understandable between both parties. That wasn't done at CMHA. And then you encourage people to live up to those standards by a number of ways. Obviously, people are interested more than just shelter. That is a necessity for all of us. But then there are the needs beyond shelter. And that's what I was referring to this afternoon when I say that I need the community support, CMHA needs the community support to provide the additional services that we cannot afford to provide. When the Public Housing Authority began some 45 years ago or more, it was thought at that time that all we needed to do was to provide brick and mortar and the problems would take care of themselves. That was so mistakenly wrong. It was a very poor idea, and it took them a long time, I might add, to wake up to that idea too. We need to do more than that. When you consider the profile of the families that live in CMHA, as I stated earlier, you can understand why the conditions exist. The average income is somewhere around $3,500 a year. Also, you must remember that we only serve a very small portion of the community. The point I'm making is that you take a $3,500 a year family on the inside and the outside of CMHA and you compare them, you find out that there isn't much difference in terms of the behavior. I might add, you may find the family in CMHA in a much better situation. You asked a long question, I'm going to give you a long answer. Simply stated, we must establish standards for people to live up to and work toward meeting those standards. In addition to that, we must receive supportive services so people can have an income, can do things that other people in society would like to do, can live, if you will. And unless we get this, we're going to be unsuccessful. I stated, I left one of the words perhaps out of my statement when I said that we have to have a program that is the economic and moral commitment of the Marshall Plan to make the things change. And unless we have that, we're only kidding ourselves.
James, personally, I'm pleased that you've chosen the Cedar Estates as a model project. I'm curious as to how this decision was made. Did you initiate it? Is this the kind of policy that the board itself makes? How did they happen to choose this particular priority? And aren't you under pressure from representatives of other estates who wish that they had been given the same preference?
Well, I won't take credit for the selection of Cedar. It was certainly a very important consideration before I came here. But the one thing I did do was to have all of our estates examined for their needs. and CETA ranked first in terms of needs. So that's why I supported the idea of the CETA experiment, if you will. There are other reasons too. CETA is one of the oldest, the most prestigious developments in the community. It lies in an area that's very important to the city of Cleveland. If we can make this plan work, it'll be easier to export that improvement to our other developments.
Mr. James, I work in the area of the Cedar Estates, and I was aware that there were some vacancies in the units there, but when it was announced that you had planned to do something, I was very much surprised that I think the quote in the papers was about 50% vacancy rate there. And I'm interested, is that a result of the lack of applicants for the units or the lack of money to renovate the units over time?
Well, one begets the other. If you've got a situation that's in a deplorable state, you're not going to have any applicants for it. So I think that what has happened is that because of the deterioration of the units and the vandalism and other things that happened, that the demand certainly fell off. That's, all of those things are part of the problem.
Mr. James, I have been a supporter of public housing for many years, having to have been a product of public housing also. And it's a lot of rumors going around in the community now, which I've attempted to try to talk to you, make an appointment with some other people to talk with you so we could continue to be supportive of you. But one of the, in public housing, one of the rumors that's going around is that after Cedar is completed, then it will not be for low-income people anymore. So I would like to ask, is that rumor valid?
It is not valid.
Mr. James, two questions. One, an extension of Mrs. Wallace's question in terms of the making people appreciative and respective of a rehab unit. One of the problems I think that is generally true in public housing is the reticence of actually getting rid of a tenant who has not shown proper respect or refuses to show proper respect for property. And I know CMHA has not done that. Are you going to be willing to do it? The other question is relative to the social services which you say are so necessary. I know I was a participant a few years ago in the Federation for Community Planning study of the social services for CMHA. Through that process, a director, Vivian Joins, was added to your staff. I think she's left that staff. I don't know if she has been replaced. With the pressures on the social service agencies to meet budgets and serve a constituency in this increasingly difficult times, is there going to be money in CMHA itself to provide those social services that are going to be necessary?
Well, answer to your first question, I'm not reticent to take action against those who caused the place to be deteriorated. You know, a further answer to that, we only serve about 10% of the people who are in need. So there are 90% of people who would be willing to come in and try to live in a different way, perhaps. So I'm not reticent at all. The second part of your question had to do, is there any money and will there be any money? I think that perhaps would be best addressed to the community. Most of our money is earmarked for structure and improvement of structures and things of that sort. Very little is in this social area. And I don't need to tell you what's happening in some quarters about funds being cut for social programs. So we need desperately the help of the community to shore up that end of the program.
Sir, you mentioned many things that were needed. One was, generally, you spoke about supportive services. And I'd like for you to delineate a little more for us, what do you mean by supportive services that we could provide you with? And the second part of that has to do with security problem, which we understand has been tremendous. What have you been able to do to correct that?
Let me identify supportive services. I think that the sort of things that the churches do in the community, for example, provide training programs or programs where people can have some outreach to the other part of the community, some experiences. Certainly, job opportunities is very important. Another supportive service, a very valuable one, is to make sure that the schools that are providing education in the surrounding areas are quality schools. There are things that can be done that can be done through not necessarily the immediate output of money from your pocket, but supporting programs that are already in existence, improving the quality of those programs. Second part of your question had to do with security. Security in a community such as CMHA, of course, is a very serious concern. The whole environment breeds its own type of crime, if you will. And the sad part about it is that it's crime perpetrated on each other. And what we try to do, first of all, is provide as much security in terms of numbers as we're able to, so we can serve as much area as we can. That too costs money. But the most important thing, also in addition to that, is an educational program to get people to respect the law and most importantly, to respect each other.
Mr. James, can you tell us about the organizational process through which the residents of CMHA make suggestions or recommendations to the executive board and how they are handled?
Well, any first Wednesday of the month, coming to one of our board meetings, you can certainly see a very vivid display of recommendations going to our board from all directions. But as far as the organization is concerned, there is a Central Advisory Council which is comprised of members from each one of the states, and they have an executive board. I have started to meet with them on a monthly basis, and I will, of course, transfer their concerns or pass on their concerns to the board, and they themselves will begin meeting with the board. So, if you will, through the representative process, there will be the opportunity to meet with the board and to exchange ideas and to make recommendations about CMHA.
Mr. James, teenagers in public housing seem to have one thing in common. As they grow older and get bigger, they become more unmanageable. Whether it's been in the South Bronx or St. Louis or Chicago, the attempts to rehabilitate large public housing projects have fallen pretty much flat on their face. Your enthusiastic commitment of the refurbishing of Cedar Estates seems to imply a bent on your part to favor the large estates. What I'd like to know is what alternative plans CMHA has or has in the works for much smaller projects that would, simply by reason of their size, be far more manageable. And I would like to ask a second question based on Mr. Gardner's question of security. What efforts are being made at CMHA to tie into the Cleveland Police as a source of added security in CMHA projects?
There are several parts to your question. One of them, I don't know that I can totally accept, and that is that it's automatic for teenagers to, that the CMHA is the is necessarily the training grounds for all teenage problems. I think that we know of some teenagers who have done very well even at CMHA. One of them was the mayor of the city. I think that it is true, however, that because of the atmosphere, because of the environment, that the chances of crime and the exposure to crime, that there can the higher occurrence. In fact, you might say that's true on the outset. I think the figure is somewhere 45% unemployment among black youth in the nation. All of those youth don't live in CMHA. So the problems that you're talking about are not, simply the exclusive domain of CMHA. However, in dealing with that, what we're trying to do is, again, I go back to supportive services. The most practical one, obviously, is a job. And somehow or other, we need to communicate that to some of our leaders to let them know that we need jobs in our community, so we can put these youngsters to some gainful activity and some productive activity. The other thing, the other part of your question relating to the relation between security and CMHA, there are two programs that are in effect. One of them, both of which are funded by block grant programs that provide city police services to CMHA developments.
Mr. James, are there plans to use the improvement projects to train residents in skills and to employ them? And are there any barriers to doing this?
Yeah, okay. I would certainly include that in part of our plans. There are no barriers. If you know of anyone who can provide us some training money, some employment money, we'd be very, very happy to sit down and discuss with them the prospects of developing some program. I may not have answered your question specifically. We have no money to do this extensively. We will, within the ability of the rehabilitation program, hire youngsters and for that matter, other people from the developments in these programs. There's no question about that.
Mr. James, thank you very, very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.